Alright, everybody, welcome back. And, with missiles being kind of broken at the moment, just not working properly, I figure it's not a good time to actually take a look at top tier stuff. So I wanted to cover something that I haven't seen anybody else talking about. And that's that, well, the TIE Alpha Jet actually got a pretty major engine buff. And both Alpha Jets got it. Now, I'll be taking a look at the 8.7 one here just because it's more competitive, especially because missiles aren't working properly at the moment. But just know the Alpha Jet TH, the 10.7 one, did also get this buff as well. So to start off with, the Alpha Jet at 8.7 is a pretty fun little dogfighter. If you've ever played the Alpha Jet before, you'll know it's a little bit on the slower side for 8.7, but in exchange for that, you get several very, very good things. First of all, the overall turn performance is surprisingly good, especially stuff like your high-speed pull. You'll be hitting 12, 13, 14 Gs, and mind you, you won't be ripping your wings while you're doing that. And you actually don't bleed a ton of speed while you're at it. Like, you see, I'm pulling 15 Gs right now, and I'm not bleeding all that much speed. This really helps whenever you first got into Emerge against basically everything you can fight. Because, let's just be honest, most of the time in ARB, you're not going to be having, long, sustained dogfights. You're going to be turning once or twice, somebody's going to slot in behind the other person, they're going to die. And so that high-speed turn, as long as you're not bleeding tons of speed while you're at it, is incredibly good to have. And it's not like your sustained turn is bad either. I mean, even against MiGs, it only really falls off at slower speeds. So you have a very nimble, agile plane that can pull pretty hard while not bleeding that much speed, and also has some pretty good sustained turn, which are two very important things for a dogfighter at this battle rating. And these new engines give about 13% more thrust with the exact same weight. So everything that I've just talked about in terms of your turn, in terms of acceleration, is just amplified, just everything better. So the normal Alpha Jet already out-accelerates the Saber at every speed, and it out-accelerates the MiG-15 BIS above around, like 400 kilometers an hour or so, which is solid. On the other hand, the TIE Alpha Jet actually out-accelerates the MiG-15 BIS at literally every speed. The newer engines also give about a degree a second more sustained turn rate over the normal Alpha Jet. And so this means that you can dogfight basically every jet that you see in the lobby. Now, of course, something like the Ariete is completely out of the ballpark. Nothing is going to be able to dogfight that. But most of the actual planes that aren't UFOs, you should be at minimum competitive. I mean, stuff like the CL-13 Mark VI or the MiG-17 are going to give you an extremely hard time, but it's not as much of a difference as the normal Alpha Jet is. And even if you are having a hard time with something like a MiG-17, for example, the Alpha Jet does have another trick up its sleeve. You're probably seeing in the background, but this thing's roll rate is extremely high. Start rolling and weaving, and almost anything in the game is going to have an extremely hard time hitting you. And to top it off, you have 60 single pop flares, because, I mean, realistically, you don't need chaff for this battle rating. And I mean, shoot, the better engines even make it a bit faster than the normal Alpha Jet on the deck. So you have the perfect recipe for a little rat plane. You have a plane that pulls quite hard at speed while also not bleeding a ton of speed doing so. Has good sustained turn rate. It has plenty of survivability with the flares. It has a good roll rate. Well, there must be a reason it's still at this battle rating, and there's a couple things. The first one, and the one that's actually the most annoying to me, is actually related to that incredibly high roll rate. It rolls so stupidly fast that it actually makes it difficult to aim sometimes, especially because your instructor is always trying to roll your wings back to level. And so especially in snapshots when you don't really get a chance, like that right there, for example, the plane loves to just wobble around, and it also doesn't have the best rudder. So I think it's a combination of the instructor being goofy, the rudder not being the best, and maybe something with the elevators as well. But there are a lot of times when I am rolling while taking a shot, and watch closely with this Tu-14 right here. He's going to turn head on for me, and I'm going to go for the shot, and my shells are going to go all around him. And that also comes down to something else. It's not just how the plane rolls, it's also the fact that the gun pod for this thing is in an absolutely terrible position. So you've probably noticed, but it is really low on the aircraft. It's back towards the middle of the aircraft, and also the gun isn't centered. So on the plus side, if your gear is down for whatever reason, like maybe you're being attacked while you're taking off at the runway, you can actually still shoot while your gear is down or just retracting, which is unusual, and I guess it could be useful. I mean, once out of every 99 times. But the issue with it being off center like that and below is that while you're rolling, it's actually drawing a circle in the sky. This can make shooting extremely difficult, and I mean, some of the shots that you're seeing me miss are just straight up skill issue on my part. I'm not leading the gun enough. But This is by no means an easy aircraft to aim. At least it's better than something like a Mirage, for example, which has absolutely atrocious rudder at low speed. And this also combines with the fact that the gun that it has, the Mauser BK-27, is one of the more unreliable high-tier guns, at least from my experience. It is an absolute hit and crit machine. That's actually part of the reason why I decided to play it right now. I'm running an AP belt because really that's not that much different from how it normally performs when guns are actually working. The gun itself isn't that bad. It actually has high velocity, and if it wasn't in a Gunpod, it's pretty easy to aim. But the fact that it is in a Gunpod, the fact that it doesn't do the most reliable damage, and the fact that, well, you only get 150 rounds of ammo is kind of an issue. I have found myself needing to go back for ammunition in this jet more than anything else I can think of in recent memory. Usually by the time I had 3 or 4 kills, I would be extremely low on ammunition. And in every other jet that has this gun, the missiles are the main mode of actually getting kills, so it's not really that big of a deal. You don't have much trigger time. This is another one of those jets, though, like the F2 Sabre, where you can't really be trigger happy. My one recommendation for you is if you do actually have to go back and land, try and land at the carrier if you're close to it. You do actually get a tail hook, which makes it very easy. And if you repair and rearm as a non-carrier aircraft, it'll actually air spawn you above it. And again, as you can see from the background, since guns aren't really working at the moment, I mean, that IL-28 got a good burst into me and it did almost nothing to my plane. This is the perfect time to play jets like this, which rely on AP shells, because their damage is essentially the same as what it was beforehand, and everybody else's guns are worse now. And honestly, I do want to say that for a damaged jet, this thing flies pretty well. Sure, the MiG-17 is now outperforming me, where before we were pretty evenly matched, but it's still close enough that I can get to shots into him. Unfortunately, though, the gun doesn't do anything. This is unfortunately a very common thing with this gun. You know, you'll get a hit into somebody, and it just doesn't do anything. It's not like the Aiden, which usually nukes anything it touches. Really, though, if you're looking for a jet that is, in this dogfighting bracket, which, if you ask me, is, the most fun that you can have in the video game, I'd really recommend giving the Alpha Jet A a shot, specifically the Thai one. I have had a great time dogfighting in this, and even though I would still prefer something like the F2 Sabre, for example, this does have the advantage of actually having flares at 8.7, which, besides the A4E, this is the only plane that I can think of that has flares. So in those fairly common 9.3 games, you don't actually have to worry or give up any position. You can just go ahead and flare this sidewinder and keep on playing just like usual. And again, these are single pop countermeasures at 8.7. You are never going to run out of these. The other Alpha jets are, of course, still enjoyable, but if you had to choose between one that gets 15% more thrust and one that doesn't, for literally no difference in flight performance besides that, well, I think I know what I would choose every single time. Now, the more keen-minded among you might remember that even though I'm sitting here dunking on fighters, this thing is actually a strike aircraft. And while it is a very capable fighter, and please don't bomb in this thing in air RB, it also has a very good role in ground RB, especially if you're trying to use it with, say, for example, the premium Type 74 at 9.0. In ground RB, at least, this thing is sitting at 9.0, and it has quite the solid kit for the battle rating. So you get 6 250 kilogram bombs, and as you can see, it actually has bomb CCIP. This makes it incredibly easy to actually aim at targets, and it's a pretty big advantage, because at this battle rating, most of the jets that I can think of still do not have CCIP. You just have to aim it manually. So it's completely possible that you could literally come in and get 6 drops of unguided bombs. And remember, at this battle rating, most of the stuff that you're fighting are just going to be, radar guided gun AA. You'll have some basic SAMs as well, of course, stuff like the Stinger, but none of that is really a threat. Honestly, the scariest thing that I can think of is something like the M247, because most gun AAs, if they don't have a proxy fuse, you can just do this, drop from 1 kilometer or 2 away while they're shooting at you and just pop them. And of course, you're still a completely capable fighter once you ditch the bombs, and you will see plenty of aircraft at this battle rating. But in any case, I hope you enjoyed the video. This has been a fun one to make, which I am surprised to say in this update with how broken the missiles and everything else are. I am hoping that I can get a video to y'all later in this week about one of the top tier jets. Unfortunately, I can't really say unless Gaijin actually decides to fix their game, so we're just gonna have to see. In any case, though, hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what y'all think in the comments down below, and I'll catch y'all next time. So, peace, y'all.